Okay, it's time to get back to the 8-part presentation that I'm trying to break down the elements of the Abu Dhabi Fix into. It's actually slightly more than this, but it will give a rough framework. So part 5 is the media conditioning. Now if we go through what I've already presented and actually identify a little bit more, what I'm breaking down is the different parts of what it took for them to fix that event and convince enough people of some sort of authenticity to it. Now, there's still millions that know it's not authentic, but they've managed to convince enough that it is, and they've also managed to convince far too many to just accept it and move on from it. Now, in a world where we should be well, there should be systems in place where there's right and wrong, and for things that are wrong, there should be a system that's in place to deal with those things so that they're righted. That's called like a justice system. And in the year 2024, we would expect that that was functional and working, and that anything that was wrong shouldn't be allowed to stand, should be rectified, rectifiable, and the perpetrators of crimes should be held to account for crimes. That system doesn't seem to be functioning. One of the problems we've got with this situation is the lies that are being told, the level at which they're being told to both cover up a situation and promote acceptance of a situation. This is how deep this goes. And it's all done because lots of people are making lots of money, and they don't give a shit about what is right or wrong. They don't give a shit about who is impacted. They don't give a shit about what the laws are. They just care about making money. And doing the right thing is no concern of theirs. And at the moment, because they've already got a lot of money, they can get away with it. There's criminals using their influence to perpetrate further criminality and make further money and bribe the authorities, or somehow have power over the authorities, so that the authorities do not hold them to account for what it is they've done. So if we go through these 8 steps, the F1 TV narrative, so we can actually go back further than this. We after the event, we were presented with the notion of all the teams had an agreement that they wanted to ideally finish the race under green conditions. They didn't want to finish the race behind the safety car. So that's what we were told by the media. Firstly, don't believe what you're told by the media, because what they present is often lies, and even the truth that they present is put to you through a certain lens, so you get to believe it a certain way. But look at the evidence. Number one, we've been told it by multiple parties. Number two, look at the actions of the people involved. Now, the actions of the people involved are quite simply, during that safety car period, the actions of all of the teams, all of the race engineers, were not congruent with the rules of the sport. At a point in time where there should have been a certainty of a safety car finish in accordance with the rules of the sport, none of those teams made statements like that with any degree of holding firm on that. They were all compliant. They were all going along with, oh, anything could happen. He may do this. He might do that. You wouldn't do that. If it's football, if you get into the end of the game and the game, one team's winning 1-0, do both the Both the teams, to both the managers, to both the benches go, oh yeah, well, yeah, the referee may choose to play extra time here and penalties. We're not sure. We're not sure whether he's going to do that or not. Well, clearly not. You know what the rules of the sport are. So why would you even say, yeah, we don't know what he's going to do here? He could do that. Not at all. All teams did that. That indicates that there was this agreement prior. This agreement to do whatever it takes to ensure that this race ends under green conditions. That is corrupt. That is a fraud. You cannot break the rules of the sport to facilitate an ending to that sport. That's manipulation of a sport. That is a crime. That's a fraud. You've defrauded people that have placed bets on that sport. You've defrauded spectators. The event is sold as a sporting contest. As soon as you manipulate it, it no longer is. So you've defrauded every single viewer that's watched it, that's paid a TV package for it, that's bought merchandise, that's bought tickets to the event. You've committed a fraud. So that's before the narrative. Also, prior to the narrative that took place from the moment of the crash, the narrative throughout that race, and I will go back and do a video and evidence this, was that there were two possible outcomes from that race. Lewis Hamilton would become an 8-time world champion, a record-breaking 8-time world champion, becoming the greatest statistically the sport has ever seen, overtaking the record of Michael Schumacher. That is huge. The notion of somebody attaining and breaking the biggest record in the sport is huge. The other alternative was another guy would win his first world championship. If you look at the way that was spoken about throughout the entire event, the focus was all on, oh, the other guy winning his first world championship. That's not normal. That's not authentic. The F1 TV narrative, which I've got here as number 1, well, I've showed you a video of how long it took to clear Nicholas Latifi's car after the crash. Whilst you were watching that footage on live TV, you didn't get to see that. You got to see what was going on in the pits. You got to see replays of the car crashing. You got to see the safety car snake and various other things. You didn't get to see how long it was taking to clear that car up. You didn't get to see where the other cars were on track relative to that and how they were coming around each lap as that clear-up operation was going on. So that information was kept from you. You didn't get to see the timescale and have in your mind, have an understanding in your head as to whether or not, in accordance with the rules of the sport, racing was going to be possible. In addition to that, you had F1 TV choosing to interject with radio messages which were irrelevant and not in accordance with the rules of the sport. So the one where we get cancel that, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Typical decision, I'm not surprised. It's classic, right? The Red Bull conversation. Oh, Red Bull are being hard done by because the FIA are giving out a typical decision to thwart Red Bull. F1 TV chose to broadcast you that message. They chose that. F1 TV have got Nicholas Latifi's on board as one of the camera shots that they could choose to play you. F1 TV have got the cameras that are at turn 14, however many there are that can give the different angles of turn 14. And they know exactly that the point in time where Red Bull are having this conversation with Max Verstappen, the exact reason why lapped cars cannot overtake, because there is still marshals on the track clearing that up. They know that, and yet they choose that communication to play to the world. What that does, it gives the world this impression of, oh, Red Bull are being hard done by. So then, when 5 cars are released and, oh, it's okay now because Red Bull are no longer being disadvantaged, they've already set that narrative up. They've already done it. During all of that time, you've got number 2, the Sky Sports F1 narrative. Oh, Brundle and Crofty. Oh, and are we going to get any more racing laps? What jeopardy? And how long will they wait? And are they going to let the lapped cars through? They don't have to do that, but that's normally on a wet day in Spa. I've proven to you. I've proven that the rules changed in 2012. This was the end of the 10th season beyond that. They let the lapped cars through every time. Those that qualify, those that were lapped at the point where the safety cars crossed the safety car line for the second time, right? If you qualify to unlap, you unlap, and then that safety car performs at least one additional lap of the track with which to enable those cars the opportunity to catch the back of the pack. I've demonstrated that. Brundle's lying. I've proven he's lying. But he's asking you, the viewer, oh, yeah, how long will they wait? Well, you know that, Brundle. You know it every time. Your job, which is, there's no justification for this, you are hyping people up, right? You're hyping people up. You've done it on purpose. You combine that with what footage is being shown and what people hear, and it's completely setting the narrative for a racing finish to that event, rather than the simplicity of saying, look, what needs to happen here, which is the basics, which all of the lapped cars need to be released before the end of lap 56. That's the only way you'll get a racing finish. That's the only way, because lap 57 can then be that mandatory safety car lap, and then that's the only way lap 58 can be a racing lap. And if it's not done in that way by that time, it will have to be a safety car finish, and Lewis Hamilton will be an 8-time world champion. It's so simple. Nobody ever said that. The experts of the sports could not say that. That's a problem. That's a problem. Instead, they said everything else. And I'll go through in great detail all of the things that just aren't wrong. You've heard it. Those that have seen all my videos, you've heard that. We then get this so-called human error. You know what you are setting up. You know as a race director the implications of what it is you are doing. You've cleared 5 cars out of the way of 1 car so that he can have a free run at the car in front, knowing that he is on fresh tyres and therefore significantly advantaged. You also know that by not clearing out the cars between 2nd and 3rd, you're blocking off 3rd from even challenging 2nd. You know that. You know you are setting up a 2-car race-off just between 2 competitors in a multi-competitor event. You know that you're not allowed to do that. That's not an error. That's not an error. That is a total manipulation of the sport that they try to claim, oh, well, he's got overriding authority and is allowed to do that. And I've categorically demonstrated that that's not the truth. If there's a driver which has got a 30-second lead in a Grand Prix, the race director just can't throw the safety car on track to put the safety car out in front of the first competitor, allow that second competitor to catch up, and then drag that safety car back in. Off you go for a lap or 2. That's because if this notion of overriding authority works, that scenario would be possible. It's not possible. The reason it's not possible is there are protocols, and they are, if you make the decision to use the safety car to deal with a safety incident, then, having deployed the safety car, you have to carry out these set procedures before you go racing again. It's the only way you do it, and that's why they are regulations. But what the sport has told you is that, oh, it's all so complicated and it's so ambiguous and nobody really understands. Oh, but now we all understand, because the problem with that was that nobody really understood whether any meant all. Utter bollocks, right? But this is the narrative that they're feeding people. And those that want it to be true, they'll go, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we agree with that. Yeah, we agree with that. No, self-serving desires. The Mercedes valid post-race appeal, I've done this in two parts, and that is that it was entirely corrupt. When you are appealing, if something goes wrong in a Formula One event, you appeal to the decision makers saying, this is what's wrong, we need you to make a decision on that. So Mercedes are appealing to the FIA saying, like, the rules weren't applied properly there and you need to do something. The FIA invited Red Bull into that appeal. That's wrong. Oh, let's bring in Red Bull and see what Red Bull think. No, it's quite simple, the FIA. These are the rules, right, which you're the people that are there to apply the rules correctly. These are the rules, you haven't done that. Look at what the rules are, look at what happened. Did you apply them? No, you didn't. This is what needs to be done. Oh, let's ask Red Bull. So they bring in Red Bull. Red Bull, having competed in 199 Grand Prix under these rules, go, oh, actually, they're no longer the rules. We say that any doesn't mean all, and you don't have to do it like this, and that the race director's got overriding authority. And this rule here, this one overrides this rule. No, it doesn't. They never have. But now, all of a sudden, it does. Now, all of a sudden, it does. But again, the strap-on fanboys would be like, oh, yeah, race director's got overriding. I've just proven that that's not true. Every step of the way, I can prove that these things aren't true. Every step of the way. There's no ambiguity about it. This is not opinion. And these people think, this is just your opinion. I've got facts. It is your opinion. You don't know what you're talking about. And then they'll go, oh, you can't critically think. Well, you don't even know what critically thinking is. You really do not understand the notion of critically thinking if you cannot sort out what's relevant and what isn't. And you can't work out where the lies are and what is actually truthful and factual. And yet you want to project that this channel doesn't understand the notion of critical thinking. It's a term that you've heard that you think makes you sound intelligent, but you've got no concept of what it means. But again, these are the nature of the strap-on fans. So we've got this entirely corrupt appeal where you've got 4 stewards that have all got experience that I've actually proven of having been stewards at events where these procedures have taken place. They've experienced it firsthand. They know what needs to happen. And now they're pretending, oh yeah, well, Red Bull must be right in this. What Red Bull's saying is right. So, Mercedes, we've dismissed your appeal. That's corrupt. And then, quite simply, everything that has taken place since, through the media, as I've made multiple videos about, 10s, 20s of videos around, is every presentation done afterwards was there to validate. Every single one. And we can go through all of my videos, and I'm just going to switch screens. You can type into YouTube Abu Dhabi F1 21 or 2021 or whatever you want to type in for Abu Dhabi 2021. Every interview that will come up, this one Brundle, it would be terribly sad. And a 9-minute, 47-second long video that I've gone through several times, and I can disprove everything he says in that. That's not normal. The fundamental point of that rule is that they don't interfere with a duel between the leaders of the race, and that certainly happened, didn't it? That's the sort of thing that he's lying about. Every single thing that he says. Oh, even identifying who the lapped cars are isn't so straightforward. Well, yeah, it is. Just look at data view. There it is, +1 lap. Everything he says is a lie. You disprove it. Everything is validation. Jolyon Palmer's analysis. I've done 6 parts of what F1 TV's presentation was, where they interviewed each driver after the event, and they didn't speak about the ending. Oh, here's another great guy. He's had a great season. Yeah, what's your plans for next year? You've not spoken. You've not touched upon what this is immediately after the event, and you're not speaking about the controversial ending, which has changed the outcome of the World Championship. That's not normal. Every single one. This isn't normal. Every single media has done the same. You've got this one explained. The projecting Sky Sports projecting that they're finally making it so clear to you all what's really happened, and it's not the truth. It's all lies. It's all conjecture. Now I'm going to go through as part 7, I think it is. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, it's part 7. But you can go through these yourself, and there's a few more that I'm going to do where, and by all means go through the channel and pick out these videos where I'm going through each of these interviews and just exposing the lies told by Sky Sports, Andrew Benson of the BBC, and every article is written. None of them are identifying all of these faults. Every single fault that's wrong. None of you, like the sport has never explained the safety car procedure to you. Why? If you're watching football, right, then commentators can explain what constitutes offside. Quite simple. If the attacker is closer to the goal that he's attacking than the last remaining defender, okay, there's other caveats in terms of the location of the goalkeeper and everything. But if he's beyond them when the ball's played forward to him, then he's in an offside position. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, those of you that know about football know the intricacies of the offside rule, but it's not difficult to explain. Formula One, nobody knows the safety car rule. Nobody knows. It's so complicated. What's going to happen here? What are they going to do? Well, that's not normal, is it? If you're paid to commentate on a sport and you've been commentating on that sport for 28 years, an incident has happened and we've got the safety car and shit, what's going to happen now? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen now. This is by somebody that watches the sport and that's seen this happen every time, right, since 2012, is what's going to happen now. The safety car is going to come out on track. All the cars are going to bunch up behind it, so it slows everything down. That's going to give the people on the track a safer working environment to do what they need to do, which is clear the incident up, get rid of the car, get rid of any debris, check the barriers, declare that track safe. Now, if cars have been lapped, those lapped cars then at that point get released and they're given at least one further lap of the track to try to catch the back of the pack, and then they can bring the safety car in. Simple as that. That's the process. That's the procedure. But rather than be able to say that simply to everybody, it's, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? Crazy shit. Well, no, it's not really, is it? But the strap-on fans, they'll go, no, that's okay. They can say that. They can say that. They can say that. Look, desire-driven values, kids. Desire-driven values. Let's face it, you're fucking turds. As people, those of you that come to this channel and get in the comment section, you are fucking turds of human beings. Simple as that. Yeah? That's who you are. That's who you are. Look in the mirror, look at yourself, you're a fucking turd. Desire-driven values, no integrity, spineless little pricks. That's what you are. Okay? But this is the world, and you are the people that this sport has sought to attract. I can tell you something, you will reject it because that's not what you want. I want. That's you. Okay? You're just a little prick. All of you. But that's the way things are. But back to the process in terms of switch screens again. So back to this one, the media conditioning. What they did in the aftermath of the event was come up with all of the alternatives and the bullshit. What they did, they told you so much that was irrelevant that then people seized on to then argue in the comments section of social media about. And most people do not realise that most of them things were completely irrelevant. Nobody focused on the relevant things. The media didn't focus on the fact that the thing that wasn't done was that mandatory lap of the safety car, which meant that had that have been done, it would have guaranteed to have been a safety car finish. They didn't want to focus on that. They wanted to tell you that, oh, it doesn't matter, it was controversial, but Max fully deserved it because he led the most amount of laps. And the strap-on boys went, oh yeah, we like that. We like that. That makes it mean that Max deserved it. All these bullshit statistics which are actually irrelevant, because the only one that's relevant to winning a world championship is accumulating the most amount of points. And had the rules not have been broken, Lewis Hamilton would have done that. Simple as that. You get these comments going, oh well, Lewis deserved to win that race, but Max deserved to win the championship. Well, that doesn't work, does it, dickhead? If they're 11 on points going in, and one person deserves to win that because they were cheated out of it, right, and would have won it had they not have been cheated out of it, then that means that they deserve to win the world championship as well, doesn't it? But, again, it's all about desire-driven motives. They fed you the notion, oh, Michael Massey was under so much pressure. Oh, the rules are so complicated. There's ambiguity in there, and nobody really understands what it is. And, oh, there were other issues as well, and teams shouldn't be getting on the radio to be able to tell the race director. That's the problem. All this interjected bullshit, absolutely just trying to divert attention, get people conflicting, get people arguing about things, not identifying the crux of the problem, and then hoping that people would just become burnt out with arguing, getting nowhere, and deciding, oh, waste of time, we'll move on. That was their entire strategy. Everything was there validating what took place. None of it was actually exposing the true reality of what took place. They're not going to expose themselves in the fact that they were part of the narrative, making you believe that that last lap shootout was going to take place when it shouldn't have taken place. They were the people conditioning you to believe that that was going to happen when it should never have happened. So of course they're not going to go, well, yeah, you look at what we were saying beforehand, and we shouldn't have been saying that because that's not in accordance with the rules. And you've got no independent journalist anywhere that's ever pointed that out. Somebody like the BBC's Andrew Benson should have been able to go, hang on, I'm a Formula One correspondent, but I work for the BBC. I don't work for the sport of Formula One. I don't get paid by Sky Sports, who are clearly in on the narrative. These are the rules of the sport. This is what needs to happen. It didn't. What's going on here? The things that were even being said before it happened aren't congruent with what's right. This isn't right. But no, Benson wouldn't do that. Benson just parrots the narrative. Benson said the same thing that Chandok says, and I can't find the video, it seems to have been taken down, but Chandok says, oh, there were still other sets of circumstances where Verstappen would have won this. Well, but then didn't tell us what they were, and neither did Benson. So you put it out there, so you convince the strap-on fans, because that's all they need. Oh, yeah, there were still other sets of circumstances where Max would have won it, so it's fine anyway. Well, what were them circumstances? Oh, the critical thinkers amongst you will be able to tell us. Well, what are they? Red flag. Well, that doesn't apply. You wouldn't have used a red flag to deal with that at any other time. Oh, if they'd have started the race with those lapped cars in situ, you're not allowed to do that. I've demonstrated exactly why you're not allowed to do that. That you cannot leave Norris a lap behind Gasly. You're not allowed to do it. That's why there are those procedures that you've got to carry out once the safety car has been deployed. So what are they? Oh, there aren't any. But you say it, you convince the crazies, and then Benson parrots it. The F1 chief correspondent of the BBC says the same disinformation. This is what it is. So part 6 is the FIA in action, and we'll come to that now on the next part of this. And then we get the further media conditioning that takes place from that Thursday of that week through to when that report finally drops in March, and the FIA result confirmation and their report. So that will do for this one, and we'll think about the FIA in action. You are the governing body of the sport. What's your responsibility to do? What did they do? That's for next time, though. Thanks for your time.